Hey guys, and welcome to another video. In this video I'll be teaching you everything there is to know about enchanting. With so many different enchantments in the game and new ones added with every update, it can seem overwhelming. However, it really doesn't need to be. After watching this video, you'll be an expert on enchanting in Minecraft. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. So first of all, in order to enchant, you will need the following things. You will of course need an enchanting table, you will need some bookshelves, 15 to be exact, you will need some books, an anvil, a grindstone, some lapis lazuli, and of course experience, or levels. In order to craft an enchanting table, you will need 4 obsidian, 2 diamonds, a book, and with that head over to your closest crafting table, place them in a crafting grid like so, and that will create an enchanting table. Then of course you will need bookshelves, 15 to be exact, and in order to create bookshelves you will need a ton of books, 45 books exactly if you want to create 15 bookshelves. And in order to create 45 books you will need 45 pieces of leather, as well as 2 stacks plus 7 pieces of paper. Head over to your crafting table, place a piece of leather as well as 3 pieces of paper around it to create a book. Since 45 pieces of leather as well as 2 plus a bit stacks of paper is quite a lot of items in the beginning, I would highly recommend to create a cow farm as well as a sugarcane farm. You will need exactly 15 bookshelves in order to unlock the highest possible enchantments. In order to craft a bookshelf, place the planks in the crafting table like so, as well as the books. That will create a bookshelf. Now that you've created some bookshelves as well as your enchanting table, it's time to build your enchanting setup. So pick a spot and place down your enchanting table. Next, you want to place your 15 bookshelves with 1 block of air in between the enchanting table, just like so. Hey guys, Editor Aeon here. I just wanted to let you know that 99% of people watching this video aren't subscribed. So if you enjoyed the video so far, I would highly appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. And with that said, let's continue. As you can see, there's exactly 1 block of air in between the bookshelves and the enchanting table. But of course you will need 15, so continue placing some. And there you go. If we would count them out now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 bookshelves. So now that we've placed down the bookshelves, we're able to unlock the highest possible enchantments. In order to enchant now, we will need a couple of things. First of all, we will need lapis lazuli. Then of course we need an item that we want to enchant, and then we need some levels. Lapis as well as levels act as a form of currency for the enchantment table. And in order to basically pay for the highest possible enchantments, you will need at least 30 levels. So setting up an XP farm is the way to go. Once you've gathered enough levels, at least more than 30, head over to the enchanting table, right click it, and that will open the enchanting table menu. You will have a couple of slots here. 1 slot is for lapis, the other slot is for your item that you want to enchant, and now it will give you 3 available enchantments. There are 3 tiers of enchantments. There are tier 1 enchantments, tier 2 and tier 3 enchantments, and they cost the equivalent amount of lapis as well as in-game levels. As you can see, a level 1 enchantment costs 1 lapis as well as 1 in-game level. A level 2 enchantment or tier 2 enchantment will cost you 2 lapis as well as 2 levels, and a tier 3 enchantment will cost you 3 lapis as well as 3 levels. If we look at the bottom of the screen, we can see that I have 171 levels at the moment, and if we enchant this pickaxe with a tier 3 enchantment, my levels went down to 168. Of course, you don't need your item to be a netherite pickaxe. You can enchant a bunch of items in the enchanting table. These are all the in-game items that can be enchanted. So of course you have your tools, you have books, you have fishing rods, flint and steel, shears, a brush, the shield, then you have all the weapons as well as all the armor pieces, and stuff like mob heads and compasses can be enchanted as well. We'll go over all the best possible enchantments for each of those items later on in the video. So let's head back to the enchanting table for now. You should always aim for the tier 3 enchantments, so we can pretty much forget about tier 1 and tier 2. So if we would go ahead and enchant this netherite pickaxe now with this enchantment here, it says we will get fortune 3 as well as ... question mark. This means there is a chance that we will get more than just the fortune 3 enchantment on our pickaxe. But that's of course not always the case. as that is basically just RNG. So if we go ahead and enchant this pickaxe right now, we can see that we actually got a Fortune 3 as well as Efficiency 4 enchantment on this pickaxe. But let's say this enchantment is not an enchantment that we want to have on our pickaxe. Well, let's talk about how to refresh enchantments. Basically, enchanting an item will always refresh the available enchants given by the enchanting table. Therefore, if we don't want a Fortune 3 enchantment, for example, on this pickaxe, what we can do instead is just do a dummy enchant, which is basically just enchanting it with a tier 1 enchantment in order to save on levels as well as lapis. As you can see, we just enchanted it with a level 1 enchantment. And now if we place the pickaxe back in, you can see the tier 3 enchantment has now switched to Efficiency 4. So the issue, however, is that now, of course, we've enchanted this pickaxe. So how do we get rid of the enchantments that are on this item right now? Well, in order to do that, we need the help of the grindstone. So right-click the grindstone, and by placing the item inside of the grindstone menu here, you can see that that will remove all the enchantments from the item. So we can just go ahead and remove the enchants, gets a little bit of XP back, and then we can head back and enchant the pickaxe with the Efficiency 4 enchant. In order to craft a grindstone, you will need 2 planks, 2 sticks, and 1 stone slab. So head over to your crafting table, place the planks and the sticks in the crafting table like so, place a stone slab in the middle, and that will create a grindstone. One important thing here is that you don't have to dummy enchant the item that you wanted to enchant in the first place. You can enchant any item in order to refresh the enchantment table. If we look at the tier 3 enchantment right now, we would get Unbreaking. Let's say we wanted to refresh that. We don't need to enchant the pickaxe. We can just go ahead and enchant a book, for example. Dummy enchanted with the tier 1 enchantment, and now if we place the pickaxe back in, you can see the enchantment table has refreshed, and we can now get the Efficiency 4 enchantment. Again, you can always go back to your grindstone and disenchant your dummy enchanted items. Next, let's talk about the anvil. In order to create an anvil, you will need 3 iron blocks, as well as 4 iron ingots. Place them in a crafting grid like so, and that will create an anvil. So let's talk about the use cases of an anvil. So basically, the anvil allows us to combine items. If we take the pickaxe from before, which we enchanted with the Fortune 3 and Efficiency 4 enchantment, and let's say we wanted to get some additional enchantments on this pickaxe or upgrade it to, let's say, Efficiency 5 and also get Unbreaking 3, what we have to do in order to accomplish that is combine the items in the anvil. So let's put the pickaxe in the first slot, and then we also have another pickaxe here that we've enchanted and where we've gotten the Efficiency 4 as well as Unbreaking 3 enchantment. If we place both of these in the anvil right here, what we can see is that both picks combine to a single pick with all enchantments added to it. But not only have we combined the individual enchantments on the pickaxes, we have also upgraded an enchantment. As you can see, both of these pickaxes have the Efficiency 4 enchantment on them, and if we combine Efficiency 4 with Efficiency 4, we will get Efficiency 5. We will not get Efficiency 8, that is not in vanilla Minecraft. Efficiency 5 is the highest possible version of efficiency. In order to combine the items in the anvil, we will have to pay with levels. In this case, 11 levels to be exact. However, there's a neat trick to sometimes lower the enchantment cost. If we just go ahead and switch both of these pickaxes, we can see that that will change the enchantment cost. In this case, it'll actually make it more expensive. So what we want to do is we just switch it back, and there we go. The cheaper option is 11. Another thing you can also do, of course, you can rename any in-game item. So let's say we would just want to call this pickaxe Fortune Pick. And there we go. That will cost us 2 level. And we have renamed the item. So that's why we need an anvil. So let's quickly head back to the overview of all the items that can be enchanted. All items on this list are able to carry an enchantment. However, not every item on this list can be enchanted through an enchanting table. This means some items like the elytra, for example, or a shield or flint and steel or mob heads, for example, These items need to be combined with an enchantment through an anvil. So let's say we wanted to enchant our elytra here. What we will have to do is we would have to get an enchanted book and combine that in the anvil with the elytra. So if we head back to the enchanting table, as you can see, if I place the elytra inside of it, no enchantments will show up, as this is an item that is not able to be enchanted through the enchanting table. However, if we place a book into the enchanting menu, we can see that enchantments will show up. So in order to enchant our elytra, we would have to get an enchanted book and combine that with the elytra in the anvil. So let's say we wanted to enchant our elytra with Unbreaking 3. We have enchanted our book in the enchanting table, so what we'll now do is we will just place the elytra as well as the book in the anvil menu, and that will give us an enchanted elytra. We can also rename it if we want to, Wings for example. That will increase the enchantment cost. But here we go. So now let's go over all the enchantments in the game and all the best enchantments for each individual item. One more thing to pay attention to as well is that there are some enchantments that you're not able to get through the enchanting table. There are villager enchantments like Mending and Frostwalker. These enchantments you're only able to get through trading with a librarian villager. Then there are also treasure enchantments like Soul Speed, which you can only get through bartering with piglins in the Nether, or Swift Sneak, which you can only get by looting an ancient city, or Windburst, which you can only get through the trial chambers. All of these enchantments will not show up in the enchanting table. So in order to apply them to the appropriate item, you will have to use an anvil. So let's first look at tools, starting with the pickaxe. The best possible enchantments for a pickaxe are Unbreaking 3, which basically just increases your durability. Then Mending, which is a villager enchantment. Mending will allow you to repair your items through gaining XP. And Efficiency 5, which will increase your mining speed. Then you can also choose between Fortune 3 and Silk Touch. Unfortunately, you cannot combine these two enchantments, so ideally you would have one pickaxe with Silk Touch and one pickaxe with Fortune. What Fortune does is Fortune gives you a higher yield when you mine a block. Let's say you mine a diamond block, you would usually only get a single diamond out of that, but with the Fortune 3 enchantment, there is the chance of getting 2 or 3 diamonds from this single diamond block. And Silk Touch will allow you to mine a block basically the way it is. So let's give you an example here. If we would go ahead and mine these diamond blocks with our Fortune pick, as you can see, we got a total of 5 diamonds from 2 diamond blocks. However, if we use our Silk Touch pick to mine this diamond block, you can see that we mined a diamond block without breaking it. So as I mentioned before, ideally you want to have one Fortune 3 pick as well as one Silk Touch pick. So let's have a look at the axe. For an axe, the best enchantments are Unbreaking 3, Mending, as well as Efficiency 5. And then you can also add the Sharpness 5 enchantment. As an axe is also considered a weapon. The Sharpness enchantment will increase your damage to every mob type in the game. And then again, you can decide between Fortune 3 or Silk Touch. Moving on to the shovel, we can see that the best enchantments again are Unbreaking 3, Mending, as well as Efficiency 5, and then again, either Fortune 3 or Silk Touch. For the hoe, it's the exact same thing. Unbreaking 3, Mending, Efficiency 5, as well as Fortune 3 or Silk Touch. Let's look at the weapons next, starting with the sword. For the sword, you again want to have Unbreaking 3 and Mending. Then you can have Fire Aspect 2 on it, which enables you to deal fire damage with every hit. Then you want to get Looting 3. Looting is basically the equivalent to Fortune, which means every time that you kill a mob, you have a higher chance of getting an item drop. Then you also want to add Sweeping Edge 3, which deals sweeping damage. You'll deal AoE or area of effect damage. Then you can also add Knockback, which will knock back any mob you attack with the sword. And then you can decide between Sharpness, Smite, or Bane of Arthropods. These 3 enchantments are also not combinable. As I've mentioned before, Sharpness increases your damage against every type of mob. Smite significantly increases your damage against undead mobs such as zombies, skeletons, or the Wither, for example. And Bane of Arthropods significantly increases your damage against arthropods, which are spiders, for example. Next, let's have a look at our range weapons, starting with the bow. For the bow, we can apply Power 5. which significantly increases the bow's damage. Then Unbreaking 3. Then we can apply Punch 2. Punch 2 is like knockback with the sword, which means any mob that is hit with an arrow will be knocked back. Then we can apply the Flame enchantment, which enables us to do fire damage with our arrows. And then we can choose between Infinity and Mending. Again, these two can unfortunately not be combined. Here, I would highly recommend going for Infinity. What Infinity does is that you will get infinite arrows, which means you will only need a single arrow in your inventory in order to shoot endlessly. So let's give you an example here. As you can see, I have an infinity bow as well as a single arrow. However, since we have the Infinity enchantment, I now have infinite arrows. And one more thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that you can repair items in your anvil, which is part of the reason why you don't need mending on your bow, because you can just pick another bow, head over to your anvil, and you can place your broken bow as well as your new bow in the anvil, and you will see that you will now get a completely new bow. Now let's talk about the crossbow. Crossbow has a few more options here. We have the Power 5 enchantment, again, which increases our damage, then Unbreaking 3 as well as Punch 2 and Flame. These are all similar to the bow. Then we have Quick Charge, which allows you to recharge or rebolt your arrow faster. And then we can decide between Piercing 4 or Multi-Shot. Multi-Shot basically means that you will shoot 3 arrows with every single shot, and Piercing will ignore armor. Then again, you can decide between Infinity and Mending. Again, here I would go for Infinity. Now let's talk about the Trident. For a Trident, we can have Unbreaking 3, Mending, as well as Impaling. Impaling will increase our damage. Then we can decide between Riptide 3 as well as Channeling. And if we choose the Channeling option, we can also enchant our Trident with Loyalty 3. As you can see, this is a pretty long list of enchantments. What the Channeling enchantment allows us to do is it allows us to shoot the Trident. To give you an example here, by holding right click, I can shoot the Trident. And if I have the Trident enchanted with Loyalty, it will come straight back to us. Another cool thing with the Channeling Trident is that if there is a thunderstorm, you can actually summon lightning by firing your Trident at the mobs. As you can see, we're basically Thor now. And one cool thing is that if you strike a creeper with lightning, you can create a charge creeper, which now significantly increases its blast radius as well as blast damage. So let's quickly talk about Riptide. What Riptide allows us to do is it allows us to propel ourselves from any body of water. And one cool thing is that rain actually counts as a body of water, which means by holding right click, while inside rain or a thunderstorm, we can actually propel ourselves forwards. And what's really cool is that we can combine it with the Elytra. So if we quickly equip ourselves with an Elytra, put ourselves in survival, propel ourselves in the air, activate our Elytra, we can now basically, instead of using rockets, fly around the world endlessly. Pretty cool. But as I've mentioned before, we can propel ourselves from any body of water. So we can just hop into some water right here and propel ourselves in the air. And next, let's talk about a recent addition to the game, which is the Mace. For the Mace, again, you want to have Unbreaking as well as Mending. And then Windburst, which is a treasure enchantment, which you can only get from the trial chambers. And then we can decide between Density and Breach. What Density does is it increases our damage dealt per block fallen. And Breach is kind of the equivalent to Piercing from the crossbow, which means it just ignores armor. Here I would highly recommend Density. What Windburst does is every time you hit a mob, you will be propelled into the air, similar to Riptide with the Trident. As you can see, if I would just go ahead and punch this cow normally, the cow survives. However, if we attack a cow from a couple blocks up above, just build up right here, we have our Windburst Mace equipped. And if we hit this cow from up above, oh god. If we manage to hit this cow, you can see we're propelled up into the air. And yep, one more thing, don't forget you'll also take fall damage. Not only will it destroy the cow, we'll also, since we have Windburst on, will be propelled into the air. And if we have an Elytra on, just like with the Riptide Trident, we can continue flying. So just to show you, if I hit this cow now, I can activate my Elytra mid-air and cruise around. Let's now talk about some other items like the fishing rod. For the fishing rod, again you want to have unbreaking as well as mending. Then you can have luck of the sea, which will increase the chances of getting treasure while fishing. Then you can also have lure 3, which will increase the chance of a fish biting your hook. For these tools here, starting with the shield, you can enchant it with unbreaking 3 as well as mending. However, all of these items cannot be enchanted with the enchanting table, and all of these enchantments need to be added through an anvil. If we look at the shears now, we can enchant it with unbreaking 3 as well as mending, but also efficiency 5. What the efficiency 5 shears will allow us to do is it will allow us to insta-mine wool. As you can see, we can break wool instantly. For flint and steel, same thing, unbreaking and mending. And for the brush, also unbreaking and mending. So let's now talk about the best possible enchantments for your armor, starting with the helmet. For the helmet, you can have again unbreaking 3 as well as mending. Then you can have respiration 3, which will allow you to breathe longer underwater, and aqua affinity, which will allow you to mine faster underwater. Then you can also have thorns, and what thorns will do is it will basically damage any mobs that damage you. So if a mob hits you, they will immediately take some damage. And then you can also decide between 4 versions of resistance. You can either have protection 4, which will increase your overall resistance against anything. Then you have blast protection, which will significantly increase your resistance against explosions, like creeper explosions or gas explosions. Then you can have fire protection, which will increase your fire resistance to falling into lava, for example. And projectile protection, which will increase your resistances against arrows or shulker shells, for example. For the chest plate, we can again have unbreaking 3 and mending, then thorns, and then one of the 4 possible resistances. For our leggings or pants, we want to have again unbreaking 3 and mending, as well as possibly thorns. Then we have swift sneak, which is a treasure enchantment, which you can get by looting ancient cities. That will just allow you to move faster while crouching, and again one of the 4 possible resistances. If we have a look at the boots now, we can again apply unbreaking, mending as well as thorns. Then we can also apply feather falling, which will decrease any fall damage we take. Then soul speed, another treasure enchantment gathered by bartering with piglins. That will just increase your movement speed while running on soul sand or soul soil. Then either Frostwalker 2 or Depthstrider 3. Frostwalker 2 is a villager enchantment that you can get from a librarian villager, or Depthstrider 3, which will increase your movement speed while traversing any body of water, and then again one of the 4 resistances. And for the elytra, you want to have unbreaking 3 and mending, but again the elytra cannot be enchanted in an enchanting table. You will need an anvil in order to apply these enchantments. Then there are also curses. For example, Curse of Binding, if applied to any armor item or a mob head, for example, will bind the item to the player until the player dies. And then Curse of Vanishing, which will make it so items completely vanish if a player dies, which means the item cannot be picked up anymore. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Now you know everything about enchanting in Minecraft. If you learned something, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and like the video. And with that said, see you in the next one. Bye!